What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sales Remastered. My name is Daniel. I'm your host, and on this episode, I'm going to help you tweak a few things inside of your delivery, inside of your origination efforts, inside of your current daily process right now that can make the change in the results that you're looking for. And of course, that's an increase in sales. Of course, that leads to an increase in confidence, in morale, in energy, in optimism, and it helps you steer away from those negative pockets of state of minds that we experience as sales agents. And you're going to be shocked how common sense some of these tips or adjustments may seem, but at the same time, I think you'll also be just as shocked to realize how easy it is for us to veer away from those common sense practices. And so my very first method, or my very first tip to you, is going to assist you with actually getting callbacks on voice messages left, on missed calls, on emails. And the reason why I wanted to make this content absolutely first is because, number one, is I want you to hear it, because it's really gonna help you gain traction and get some sort of feedback with regards to the response that you guys are leaving. And I want us to analyze it from our current state of mind. So for example, if you're doing it this way, like in this example, I want you to realize that it could just be because of that given technique as to why you're not receiving back any traction, why you are not getting any callbacks. And a lot of it has to do with the scripting. And yesterday I had a newer agent join my team, and I happened to be speaking with someone next to him, and I overheard his voice message. And the voice message sounds something like this. It sounds pretty much almost exactly like this. It said, "Hey, this is Daniel with blah 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 lender. I just wanted to give you a call to see if you're still in the market. If you're thinking about doing anything or possibly getting some cash out for debt consolidation, give me a call. I can see if I can help you, or I can send you out the numbers and show you what it looks like." And right off bat, like kind of just from the outside looking in, or at least listening in, I should say, it doesn't sound like he really did anything wrong, right? Like that was the truth. That was the intent of his message, and he was obviously trying to find some sort of carrot, right? He wanted to find some sort of carrot that's going to lure that prospect to call him back, and hoping that one of those features was the right feature that's going to motivate that prospect to call him back. He went ahead and delivered it in a good way. There's nothing wrong with that, except the fact that it was TMI. It was just too much information. And so what I found was that he was doing the right thing, like in terms of sharing great content, good information. He was even doing outbound calls, which is a good sign. Not too many salespeople actually do outbound calls. And he was doing an outbound call. One better was that he was actually calling out on leads that had slipped from other people's queues. So, if you don't manage your leads right, it becomes open game. And I think you might have that rule on your sales floor too. And it's because we have a fiduciary duty to make sure that our prospects and our clients get the answers that they want. And if they're over here with another agent not getting their callbacks, not getting their answers, then we as a company, as a business, withstand the chance of losing them to the next company or the next agent that has the time management skills necessary to give them a call back and fit in the time. And so you see the delivery is important, the timing is important, but most importantly, the sense of urgency is important. And we can't demand urgency from our prospects if we can't even display urgency ourselves, right? Or we can't display time management ourselves. And so what I found is that when we leave a message like this, we tend to sound exactly like our competition. Our competitors are leaving the exact same message. And I say it time and time again, we have to learn how to make noise in a different way. Regardless, the world's going to be noisy, right? There's just going to be a lot of noise trying to take away and distract our attention. And when we realize this, then we got to figure out, okay, well, how can I stand out, right? Like, how can I make noise in a different way? How, in a noisy world, can I make a noise at a frequency that is just completely different, and it will make, it'll make me stand out from the crowd. And one of the ways is like this. So when you're leaving a voice message, number one, you want to be able to keep it somewhat, exclusive, right? You want to think exclusivity. You want to think, it's going to expire. Like something is very time sensitive, and the wording that you want to leave on your voice message is very similar to the wording that you would leave on your on your email, and also somewhat on your text. And what I found is most effective is you want to lead everyone back to either the voice message or the email, and they're all coinciding with each other, saying, I have a video on this on how to get your prospects to call you back. I'll leave a link below the video. But in short, you just want to be like, for example, it's 2018, it's February 6th, and a great method right now would be like, hey, you know what, this is the voice message. Hey Daniel, this is Daniel. You know what, I talked with you, or you talked with our company a while back, and we're actually doing a campaign in your county of Orange, and your file came by my desk. I wanted to make sure that we released this info to you because you took the time and actually spoke with us a while back. And because we actually are focused within your county, I thought this information would help you. Take a peek, it's attached. It actually shows you what influences your property's value, and it shows you the rating on your school district, and it even shows you how much that house down the street went for back in July. It's a snapshot of what your property would appraise for in this market without having to pay for an appraisal. Thought it was neat information. I want to use neat. Thought it was pretty neat information, and I wanted to get your feedback. Let me know what you think. And so that's how the email would sound. That's how the voice message would sound. And what you'll notice is that I'm creating curiosity, right? I'm creating kind of motivating them to go check out that neat information. But I'm not giving too much information. I'm not saying that there's a card up my sleeve. I'm not, inviting the prospect to come get uncomfortable with me while I try to sell them some services or some costs associated with my services. And I think that number one will help you get callbacks. And keep in mind that whenever you leave a voice message, you also want to back it up with an email. You want to back it up with a text. A text message, if you have the capabilities of doing a text message from your CRM, it's important that you keep it very short. You don't want to text your entire pitch. As a matter of fact, I think that's the reason why a lot of the calls never come back, is because they don't need to. They have all the information, whether it's by your email, whether it's by your voice message. They already feel that they got the answer. And when we let them feel that they have the answer without connecting to us, we're putting ourselves at risk of losing time, losing a sale, losing money, losing a prospect, losing a client, losing potential referrals. And so it just kind of snowballs, right? It just goes down like this path that we just stand to lose. And I want to protect you from that. So keep in mind that small detail can help you get your prospects to re-engage with you. And it's always just the hint of curiosity. It's teetering and playing with the law of curiosity, right? The law of assumption, the law of greed. There's always just something like, hey man, I sent this over to you. I'm not supposed to send it over to you because it's actually meant for our clients, but heck, I'm doing a campaign in the county of Orange, and I thought it'd be helpful for you because of the conversation we had back in July of 2015, or wherever it says on your CRM, or whatever applies to that prospect. I'd say some real good information, real neat report, just rolled it out in 2018. I'd love your feedback, because a lot of the questions that you had asked me on our last conversation, or the last conversation you had with our company, it actually has all those answers. Real neat, right? I mean, neat's just a powerful word. People don't look at neat as as a threatening word. Like awesome is always kind of, it's played out, right? Like amazing is played out, but neat is different, right? Like, oh, neat, I want to see what neat looks like, and then you have just that curiosity pushing you even further. So pay attention to that, because if you're leaving voice messages where you're basically outlining a pitch, and then you do the extra step and send them an email, but ultimately it's just a straight sales letter. Like you got graphs, you got numbers, you got Excel sheets, PDF forms, Like everything is it's like one big blog. And I think that is just going to leave you prone with not getting a call back. More importantly, like, you know, you have to make them feel like they need to deserve that. Like, that information isn't just for free. And if you set up the expectation from your prospects to always have that type of delivery, like, hey, you don't need to give me any information. I'm gonna go and give you all the information. Just call me fucking wiki of lending. You know what I mean? Just ask me a question. I'm gonna give you all the history and details about it. It shouldn't work that way. You know, it's always a give take. It's got to be balanced out. And so if they want something, well, then they need to earn it, right? Like, I know that sounds kind of crude and all, but they need to sense that. They need to understand that, you know, you can't just demand things and then it just happens like that. This is not IHOP, right? This is not, you know, this ain't the International House of Pancakes. This is a fucking financial lending institution. If you want to be able to show that you qualify for a loan, or you want to be able to go grab an offer, then you need to show that you actually are equipped and capable of qualifying for that offer. You know, it's just business. It is what it is, and that's the message you need to relay at the end of the day. One last small adjustment that I could recommend to you is that, you know, during your engagement and even during your pitch, and even sometimes at the very end of the pitch when they decline the offer, they're going to say certain things that you could pick up on. And these certain things are going to tell you how to word yourself and word your delivery in a way that they're just going to absorb it more. They're going to understand you just that much clearer, and they're going to you know, their emotions are going to be tied to what you're saying, what you're trying to explain. And so it goes something like this. So when you're going through a pitch or even a sales conversation, they may give you an excuse, right? And when they give you that excuse, typically it has to do with, oh, I don't have any time, or it sounds, you know, or the cost is too high, or the rate's too high. But they're going to tell you something that has to do with the way that they're absorbing the information. Let me give you an example. So we've all heard the ideology of visual, audio, kinesthetic, right? Like, so of a message, only like 10% of it has to do with the words. You know, a big chunk of it has to do with the body language, the tonality, things like that. And so it's kind of along those same lines. But in this example, if a prospect said, hey, Daniel, I just can't get a grip on the offer, you know what, let me think about it. By that statement, I can tell he's more kinesthetic, because he's talking about, I can't get a grip, right? Like, I just can't seem to get a hold of this offer in comparison, right? Or I get a feeling that I need to talk about it. Something that's kinesthetic, then I want to respond in a kinesthetic way. And so I want to explain to him, I say, but John or Jim, can you imagine what it will feel like after we get this taken care of? Can you sense the security you would actually feel knowing that your family has 6 months of living expenses in the bank? How would that feel like? You know, I'm actually gonna respond in that kinesthetic form. In another example, if they said, you know what, it just doesn't sound like this is right for me, or I want to hear what my competitors have to offer. You know, they're more audio, right? And so what I'll do is apply that and match that inside my wording. I'm going to say, you know what, I completely hear you and I understand. What I want you to do is listen out for my call, because I'm going to check in with my manager and I'm going to ask him a few things and see what he has to say. I'm going to hear him out. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and relay the information to share with you, so you can tell me if that sounds good. Now, that's just an example. It may not necessarily be in that wording, but that's an example of how you'd want to respond, because you could tell that they're explaining their thought process in a specific way. And the first example was kinesthetic, right? Like, I can't get a grip, or I got a feeling. And then audio, like, you know, I want to hear more, or it doesn't sound like. And then visual will be the next example. So if a prospect is saying, you know what, I just can't see this being the right you know, path for me, or I can't see this being a good option, or I want to know what my other offers look like, or I want to be able to see if my lender, you know, can do better than you. These are signs that they're absorbing information visually, right? And so again, we're going to respond back and say, you know what, I want you to envision working with me, and the reason why I see a lot of homeowners in Orange County choose to work with us is because when they look at their mortgage statement, they see the same name. It's not being changed from servicer to servicer. And what they do is then they look at, right, and I'm kind of implanting those words that are in line with the way they absorb information. And if you do it right, you create a bond, a subconscious bond. And you can even play further with it, right? Like if someone was visual, then I know how to prepare and deliver information. I'm probably gonna have maybe a nice graph, or have them log on to Ellie Mae and go through the documents with me so they see it. And if they're all about tone and they're all about audio, like I'd like to hear more about your information, I'm going to be cautious of the way I'm talking to them, because if I'm talking too fast and they're talking more slow and methodical, I'm going to be foreign to them, and we're just not going to match, like oil and water. But if they immediately give me a hint that they're more of an audio learner, then I'm going to match their words. I'm going to match and pace their rhythm, their tonality, powerful words that they say. I'm going to use it. Like I found it interesting that you illustrated right this offer, and I thought it was baffling, right? Like those words, I'm gonna start using that to them because I know that they're more audio. And sometimes it's mixed, sometimes it's hard to pick up, but if you keep this in your back pocket, sometimes that's just the small adjustment that you need to pick up that sale and win that attention. So I hope this video helps you. If this is your first time watching Sales Remastered, I appreciate you. Please leave a comment below. Let me know how you found the channel. Let me know how you found Sales Remastered, and take a peek on the links below the notes on this video. Not only the sales script that's going to open up your eyes on a new way of selling, a new way of taking control of the conversation, a new way of persuading, but I'm also going to leave links of the channels that you can also find Sales Remastered. And if you have a profile on any of those channels, please consider following, liking, and giving me your feedback of how content here at Sales Remastered has helped you. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.